Okay, so now to take a look at our function issue here. If you'll remember, the the striker for the pin here was falling when we would disengage the safety, or sometimes even just when we close the bolt. So I've looked at it quite a bit, and the issue seems to be right in there, in that little engagement area between the sear and the trigger. I think this bottom part of the trigger here is so rounded off that that step on the sear can't hang on to it good enough. So I've got another trigger and another safety, because this one's missing the knob, and we can put those in there, see if we can get this thing working. I also have another sear, although I don't think anything's wrong with this one. But since we have the spare parts and we're going for a learning experience anyway, we're going to try to clean up this contact point here on this trigger, see if we can't get it to function again. So I'm going to take it out to the vise and file on it a little bit and see if we can't clean it up. Here is just a shot of the problem in action here. Okay, so we cock the bolt. We can see that this is engaged here. Now we'll put the safety on and close the bolt, and did you see that? It slipped anyway. So with the safety on, just closing the bolt with the safety on, this dropped. So it's completely unusable in the way that it is. It's totally unsafe. So we're going to try to fix that. Alright, to get the trigger out to work on it is real simple. It's just one pin here, and I'll pop it out for you right now. We're just using this skinny punch here and a little hammer, and it's pretty loose already. Yours might be tighter. Okay. So in there we just have the little pin, this trigger spring, and the trigger itself. So we're going to take this out and work on right here. Alright, so we tried to work on these two little surfaces in here on the trigger and the sear to get them to function better and just generally give a safe release. It was slipping before. This safety was also not functioning right, so we worked on these and we were able to get these two to work better together, but this safety just does not work. If you'll... Okay, so you can see here with the safety, once we cock the action, it is staying cocked. See this ring back here, which means we got these two surfaces to made up better. But unfortunately the problem here is the safety still is not engaging properly. There's too much space between the pin and the safety there. So forward on this is safe. If I pull the trigger, the striker falls. So we're just going to go ahead and put on a brand new safety, and while we're at it, a trigger as well, so that these two parts can remain consistent in the way they're supposed to made up. Okay, so to remove the trigger and the safety here, to replace them with our new used parts, it's pretty simple. Got a pin here for the trigger and the trigger spring, and just a screw with a pin back up here for the safety. So mine are loose already, just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to show you. You take it, punch this out. You might have to tap it. Mine already was loose, so you pull this little pin out, and there's the trigger and the spring here. And the safety is pretty simple as well. Loosen that. And one thing I am going to do, because I'm not going to replace the sear or mess with that spring, it seems to be working fine. what I'll do to make sure I don't lose the placement is take from this side and poke my punch here through to press that pin out. And that way the sear stays in place. Here's your pin, and your safety, and your other pin, and your trigger. So I happen to have all these pieces to replace, so I'll put these in my spare parts bin. Alright, so installing, here's our new safety. These parts all came off of a Marlin 25, and all the trigger parts are the same between that and the 780 and some of the 80 series and several others, I'm sure. So this should apply to a lot of guns. I was missing this knob on my other safety. It has a little pin on the back that helps it from wiggling around when it's installed, so that'll be nice to have that. Looks like it's in nice condition. So to put that on, we're going to line it up there. Start pushing our punch back through. Take our new pin and work it. Try to work it there. Work it in through the sear. There. Now we'll tighten it up. Not super tight yet. Just make sure it's all lined up properly. Moving back and forth properly. Okay. Good. Okay, now here's our new trigger. Silver instead of gold. Looks much nicer and crisper on the mating surface for the sear. The spring's a little bent, but it should work fine. Okay. You see, I slid that in there, and you just have to push up on the trigger, hopping forward, take the spring tension off, line up your pin, and then you'll just tap it into place with a little hammer and a punch. So I'm going to go and tap this down solid, and we'll be back to test it out. Okay, with all the new trigger and safety parts installed, give this a try here. Cock the striker back. Right. And if you'll remember, our safe wasn't working before. So, if you can see that, safe is forward here. Nothing. This is staying right where it should. And if you'll remember, when we did this, when we first got the gun, when you would release the safety, it would fire. That is not the case now. Everything seems to be working smoothly. Safety off. Trigger pull is very light and nice. But it's very solid engagement. It's not going anywhere until you pull that trigger. So here's the stock after probably eight coats of linseed oil or so. It's fairly shiny. Maybe not as shiny as if you were to use true oil or something like that, but I think it looks pretty good. I prefer the natural look of the linseed oil. Why anyone would have painted this beautiful stock with black spray paint, I have no idea. So I just rubbed those layers on, almost buffing it on, letting the rag dry a little bit. Not putting fresh oil on for the last coats, just polishing. For the first few coats, you definitely put it on wet and let it dry completely in between. And this has been done over a few days, so it takes time and some patience, but I think it's worth it.